All right, AgriScience, welcome to Thursday, October the 8th. So if you were in class today or you're a little confused, or if you were not in class today, what we did is we did some drawing today and we went over the parts of a flower, a leaf, and a stem. So we had to draw all of these out today. That is going to extremely help you tomorrow. So what I wanted to do is just, I'm not actually going to draw these out on the video, but they will be available so that way you can actually, do your own drawing. So what I am going to do is kind of run through the parts here. So the first thing that we did is we drew our stem. So on your stem, right, the little point to where our petiole attaches to our, let me see here, let me find a little, whoop, 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 whoop. All right, so our little point where our stem connects to, highlight it right there, our petiole, that is a node. All right, so that is a node. The distance in between two nodes is called an internode. And then the other two things that you had to know for a stem was, right, we have little buds that develop into flowers or fruit on the side of a plant. Those are called a lateral bud. And then there is a bud on the top of the plant that turns into your terminal bud. And then the other thing that will occur at the terminal bud is you'll have next year's growth on there as well. All right, so you need to go ahead and draw your stem and label your node, the internode, the lateral bud, and the terminal bud. Okay. The next thing we did is we spent some time drawing a flower and talking about the different parts, the different things about the flower. Make sure that you remember it produces food. So that little line that runs down the middle, that is called our midrib. Okay. So that little line right down the middle is our midrib. And then the little lines that come off of that are called our veins. The biggest thing is the outside edge of our leaf is called our margin. There's many different kinds, but the edge of your leaf is a margin. Now that whole entire thing put together, the midrib, the margin, the veins, all make up our leaf blade, okay? And then at the end of our leaf blade, that little stick thingy, okay? It's not a stem, it's not a stick. What that is called a petiole, all right? And that is this green thing right there, okay? It's that green thing right there. Let me put that back up for you. That green thing right there, that is our petiole. The whole purpose of a petiole is to connect the leaf blade to the stem. That's the only function of a petiole. And then probably what we spent the most time on today is actually drawing and talking about our flower. So our flower has four main parts, which are the stamen, the pistil, the petal, and the sepal. Okay, our stamen is the male portion of our plant, and that's really easy to tell because the last three letters of stamen is men, M-E-N. And then our pistil, make sure you pay attention when you make your drawing on here that you make that with an I and not an O. They are two completely different things. So this is our pistil, and that is our female, our petal, and then our sepal. So just to kind of give you a synopsis of each one of those, our stamen is divided into the anther, which is at the very top, and our filament, which is that long stalky thing that supports our anther. Our anther carries pollen. Pollen is the male sex cell. And then our pistil, the very top portion of our pistil is called the stigma. The middle portion is called our style. And then the bottom portion down here is called our ovary. We didn't have to label this, but this little green rectangle looking thingy mabobby is called the ovule. So the O-V-U-L-E, this is where our actual seeds would develop. Okay, so the stigma, style, and ovary together make up our pistil. And then we have a petal, right? The whole purpose of a petal is to attract pollinators. It's not to look pretty. Each flower requires specific pollinators. So some plants don't look pretty, all right? And that's because of the pollinators that they're trying to attract. And then we also have a sepal down here at the bottom. Our sepal's job is once our flower becomes pollinated and it becomes fertilized, what will happen is that ovary wall will enclose, right? And that sepal kind of wraps around to help protect it. So what we also talked about was the difference between pollination and fertilization. So pollination is when our pollen, right, goes from our anther and it lands on our stigma. That's all pollination is. And then fertilization is when our pollen goes through the style into the ovary and into the ovule, right? Because the ovule is where that seed's going to actually develop. So two completely different things. Stigma, style, ovary, right? Ovule, that's where magic happens. So pollination is the transfer of pollen, and fertilization is when that pollen, right, gets into the ovule and then actually starts developing into seed. So in a nutshell, that's what we talked about today. You want to make sure that you label this flower diagram, okay? Make sure you draw it out, okay? Make sure you draw that out. And then finally, the last thing that we did together, just so you can kind of see that flower that I just showed you, the whole reason why it was drawn out that way was so that you could actually label it. So when we're looking at a flower as a whole, all right, this is what our entire flower looks like. So once again, you have the top portion here, which is our anther. The stalky thing is the filament. Both of those together make up our stamen. And then in the middle, we have our stigma, style, and ovary. That's this little line that goes through here. And then inside of our ovary, we have our ovules. Okay, not sure if y'all can see that or not, right? So our stigma is at the top there. Our style is right there in the middle. And then our ovary is going to be down here. Okay, so that's what makes up the pistil. Okay, and so anther, filament, both of those make up the stamen. Remember, the last three letters are men. And then these right here, right, this thing right in here, those are our petals. Okay, and then that's it, right? Pretty easy. So please make sure that you draw the flower. Please make sure you draw the stem. And please make sure you draw the leaf. And if you have any questions, go ahead and reach out and let me know what you're having problems with. And I hope y'all have